Okay guys, what you're seeing here is an image I created in the Deluxe Paint for the Amiga in the Amiga emulator, and I'll bring that in front of us. And it looks like this. And the code that I have written is in Freepascal, and it can load various screens and sizes of Deluxe Paint images, ones created on the Amiga and also on the PC. I'm using Deluxe Paint 2 Enhanced on the PC. Let me move that over so you can see that. Okay, and I'm just going to create a simple image here. Let's just spell my name. This is the color cycling feature of Deluxe Paint. And I'm going to call this test 256.lbm. Yeah, sure, overwrite the old one. And let's go back into the code here. And I'm going to change the file name to 256. And that should load up the image I've just created and saved. Now, usually when I test everything without recording anything, everything seems to work. The moment I start recording videos, things just don't work out. But let's see how this goes. Oh, was a little too quick with the enter key. There we go. And so it looks just like it did in Deluxe Paint. Let's bring that so we can do a side by side. So pretty much identical. Now I've been wanting to write this code for a long time because Deluxe Paint is one of my favorite programs. So going back all the way from the Amiga days, I've been using the PC version whenever I need to create some small graphics. I'm not a great artist, but uh, Deluxe Paint makes things a lot easier for me. And even though I've tried other programs, let me just kind of show you a few. So one of the programs that tries to emulate Deluxe Paint to a certain degree is, sorry, I'm just looking at the other monitor here. Okay. So Graphics 2 does things in a very Amiga-like way, but it hasn't kicked in for me. I've tried using it over the years, and even though it kind of looks similar, and I'm sure everybody's put a lot of effort into making this program, I just haven't been able to make that transition. So I still prefer using the DOS version of Deluxe Paint as opposed to using Graphics 2. I know it does a lot of things similar and it allows you to use higher resolutions, and it's a Windows program amongst other platforms it supports, but it doesn't have that feel. Um, and it has it has great features. I just haven't been able to make that transition. So you can see that there's a lot of Amiga-like, sorry, Deluxe Paint-like features here. And if you haven't tried it, give it a try. It might work for you. And there's also, uh, let's see, Do I have this installed in this PC? I don't think so. Let me remote desktop into my test machine and okay, so we're in my test machine, and this is ProMotion. So this is another program that's very well suited for creating sprites and other small graphics. Again, it's a nice program, and I've tried getting used to this as well, but again, it doesn't have the same feel, and I still fall back to Deluxe Paint. But if you're looking for something else to try, give this a try. It has tons of features and it handles palettes very well. You could create all kinds of stuff. Go watch the YouTube videos. But I've tried these programs, and again, I'm stuck with the Deluxe Paint, which I don't mind because I like it. So let's get out of this. And let me go over the code. I'm going to switch over to Visual Studio Code because we can see things a little better there. Okay, so I've looked at other libraries for reading Deluxe Paint files, and they're incredibly confusing, especially if you want to take portions and use it for something specific. If you want to use it for Windows-based apps, they're fine. If you want to do it something for DOS or something that's not so specific to the way the library was written, it's really difficult to modify. And I spent a great deal of time trying to figure out how I can modify some of these existing libraries so I could use them in DOS. And there's just, it's too difficult. So I spent a few hours and basically took pieces of code and converted it to Pascal and just made things work. And that's usually how I figure things out. So I try to read as much as I can, look at other people's code. If there's any documentation, I take a look at the documentation, and then I just hack around. So with figuring out the this format, I also use a hex editor. And that helps figuring out what documentation and source code doesn't provide. So because this format originated on the Amiga, it uses the big not Indian format for storing numbers. So certain numbers like the width and height, they don't translate to Intel very easy unless you perform some kind of uh, translation with your code. And this is what I had to do here. Let me find it. So right here is the bit of code that on the Amiga they use the Motorola 68K processor, and it stores words and integers the reverse way basically. And these two pieces of code here allow me to convert the numbers back and forth basically. So that was one of the challenges. And the other was just not trying to duplicate what everybody else had done with the way they're reading the format, which is there's a lot of using the C command to go over certain areas and read the size of different chunks. And I thought that that was just a lot of hassle, basically, if you wanted to do something simple. So what I did is rather than creating a structure or a record for each different chunk, I just build up the chunks dynamically as I go through each byte, and then I compare with the chunk I'm looking for. So a Deluxe Paint image is made up of a form chunk, uh, ILBM chunk, BMHD chunk, a C map, which is the color map, and the most important, the body chunk. And there's a bunch of other chunks that I really don't need to be concerned about. So there's no need to define them or search for them. They're automatically skipped by my code. So that saves a lot in terms of making things simple. And I don't have to seek to find anything. And I don't have to check the different chunk sizes to skip ahead or anything like that, which again, it's way too much code for a simple format like this. The other thing that I didn't like is how everybody was decoding the format. It seemed like it's a simple algorithm, and it looks more complicated than everybody else's code when you're trying to read it. But basically, this is it. From here, this bit of code here, the while when loop, um, it it decodes the uh, the compression that's used. And this is not a lot of code, but again, looking at everybody else's code, it seems like this is made more complex than it should be. They're doing a lot more things, checking for errors and checking if the code goes exceeds the expected size. But all that can be added without, increasing the complexity here. I left it like this. There's a few things I can make to make this even shorter, but that would again make it more confusing to read. So right here, instead of going 0 to n, I could have just block read the whole block that I wanted to. So I could block read the n amount directly without having to read each byte first. And that would speed things up and it would make the code smaller, but it wouldn't make it more readable. So I left things this way. You can modify the code. And one of the other things I discovered while working on this is that between the Amiga and PC, uh, a lot of the formats are identical. 16 colors are the same, but 256 colors on the PC is saved in a different format. So instead of saving it in using 8-bit planes, it's stored um, the same way as PC Paintbrush stores the files, which is 1 byte per pixel. Uh, but reading the documentation doesn't make that really obvious. So what you have to check for is if the format has a PBM chunk. And this is where, again, the hex editor. So let's see if I can find one. Does this, yeah. So this image test 256 that we just created, see how it has this PBM chunk here? That tells us that the format is different than the other types of files created. So if we check this one, see how this one is ILBM instead of PBM? And that's exactly like the way the Amiga versions of Deluxe Paint save it. So those files can be easily read between systems. So let's view a few more files. I'm going to jump back into the code here, and let's just go over my test images. So this is a 2-color, and it loads up fine. Let's go with a 4-color. Yep, and 16 colors. And there's this 32 color is from the Amiga Deluxe Paint, which we saw originally. And this is the 256 color that we had. Now, as the images are more complex, I think it takes a little longer to load, but um, everything that I've tried so far seems to work. And I'll be modifying this code to use in my own programs. But for now, I think this is it's in good enough shape to release, so you guys can study it, make your own changes, and if you find any bugs or anything, just let me know. And I think that's it for this video. I'll post it on GitHub. The link should be in the video.